Give me a chance. Oh my gosh, I'm live. Okay, so I'm live. This is kind of a test run for me. Um, I was watching a lot of programs. I stopped watching TV. Remember the squirrel moments with Polygirl 420. Um, I stopped watching TV in 2020, and there could be a lot of jokes made. Why? The fact is the lies. You could just hear the lies. Everybody was saying that they made up stories just to sound interesting about what was going on with COVID. Not that that wasn't a serious issue, but for me, it was different. In 2020, God asked me to step out in blind faith, which I did because, as my true family, my blood family would tell you, I am more than willing to put my hand out and ask you to pay. It's not that truly, it's if we can trust God for absolutely everything from whatever job He places before us, whatever path, we will find trusting Him is sometimes one of the most scary and fearful thoughts we'll endure, and it's freeing. So I'm watching all these shows on all the channels that are absolutely loving God and Jesus, and they're praising Him and they're praying for a lot of people that need it. And people send in these requests for healing, which I think is great. And, I always like the way scripture put, like, you find people of faith that are elders that you trust that love God, put their hands. Makes massage therapy probably the best medical future we have, because as much as some of my family members are going to hate that I say this because they're in the field, I don't think the blessing lies upon our medical field anymore, especially when I watched my aunt burn from the inside out on this amazing new breakthrough chemo pill. And it looked like she sucked on a curling iron, and she had burns all over her body, and it killed her. I watched it kill her. And for 2 weeks, I watched her suffer while they kept sending her home because they didn't want to take care of her. But then again, it could be the insurance being so government rather than big time paid for. But you know what? I don't judge, because each of us were put in this life as God intended. So I love you all. I have no choice because I love myself. So I love you all. So, one thing that always has been screaming out over the last couple years is how limited we seem to put on God. It's like our minds can only go so far. We can go ahead and search to the end of our lives walking on this earth. If you have to go that way into the grave, I guess I'm going to live forever because I'm eternal. I do not understand why it's hard to conceive. If God wanted a purple Pegasus to run through this room right now, he could. He could totally do that with a unicorn horn right there. And it could talk if God wanted it. So why would we not wrap our minds around the fact that if works of faith have to be done or it's dead, your faith is dead unless you have your works. And I've had many a battle with people trying to explain what works of faith are. And the simplicity of it screams to believe, working your faith. Faith without works is dead. Find your scriptures if you need it. It's there and you know it. So, what is the working of faith? What is it? Because I don't think I've ever had a Bible study outside those amazing scholars I started to study under when I first found I was a person of faith. It's to believe. And then you can hit lots of other scriptures like, when you believe it, you got it. Well, I know it's worded different. Like I said, there's so many translations, so it's easier to read. No, give us the these and the thous and challenge us, because you know what? I think it sounds a little off when you start changing those words around. But isn't the devil's ploy is to throw us off just a little? And then that way we think it's God. And then we don't have to try so hard. Well, I don't think we have to try at all. I think the worst thing we're doing is trying to grasp what God's about. Because the best thing about God is He's got this. Jesus has this handled. He wrote the movie, people. It's called The Lamb's Book of Life. And we've all got our parts. And if you don't get your scene right, cut, do it again. Well, I don't know. I've had to do scenes, life scenes, several times over. But the best part about it is the forgiveness and the grace and the mercy is everyone's, not just those who are devoted to God, like myself, who really, I really do get upset when I see those who are such dicks, such assholes, and they totally get mercy seats. And I'm like, really? Really? Yeah, because you hate me, right? And then it's like, I'm sorry. It usually takes me like 10 minutes, but then I'm sorry because I'm being a brat, because my faith is such a gift to myself. I wish, get out of my breakfast. My dog's trying to eat my breakfast. See, I'm a normal person. I have a pit bull who thinks she is totally human, which is all pit bulls. But back to the story subject of limiting God. If we honestly think we could put God in a box and sell it over the counter, well, the devil's right there. And I think the more I read in the scriptures about not having an image to follow, because they want to paint these pictures of what he's supposed to look like. Check it out. First of all, he's there before, beginning of our time. Well, I can go as far to say that because I know that's a fact. Because my parents went to Catholic school, so I know there was a God then, and I was not conceived yet, but he knew me. And no one on the planet was able to connect with me with a belief system that I could truly believe I belonged to. Because for the first time, and it started in my 40s, I became real. Like, no more faking it. If No more faking it, which probably crushes the ex when he found out how much time I faked so much in every aspect. Because guess what? I can be who I am because God knew I'd be doing this and I'd be doing that. And he would probably, kind of just that. Sometimes I think God put me on this planet to just go. I drive people crazy. And God made me this way. I go to Texas, they hate me, because I have a California driver's license plate on my car. As soon as they know I'm from Cali, they're like, first of all, if you're telling me because God put me there, that God made a mistake for putting me in that state, then take that battle on with Jesus. That's nothing I'm going to sit around and watch either, because I'm on his side. I'm on Jesus's side, so I win. I win because I'm on the victory side. I had someone who was just such a bully, so mean and spiteful, and you could tell she was miserable in her life, which was sad because that means she didn't have Jesus, so I had sympathy. But the funny part was she kept telling me, stop hiding behind Jesus, as she's accusing me of like sleeping with older men for money. And like, obviously, that might have been her get down. I don't have to sleep with the guy to get money. I just ask God to hook it up. And usually money's not even needed. It's like, oh, here's an extra ticket to the show. No one claimed it. You want to go? Yes, please. I just happen to have the gas to get us down there at the, whatever gorgeous place in San Diego. I'm able to go that time. That's one of the best things about where I was born, is that he gave me the most beautiful city in all these lands. And some of the greatest people I know come out of that town. Unfortunately, people are moving in and the prices went skyrocketed. And I'm here in Arkansas because I need to fight a custody battle for my kids. And everything is super cheap here and it's tempting, but the weather is so bad. It's so humid. It's like, I'm not even going to go there. Next program for that thought. So, if you're limiting God, then how much life are you living? How much freedom do you have in your faith? Because if you look at the Lord's Prayer, it specifically says, on earth as it is in heaven. So I pretty much translated that simplicity because the simple is the best, not like the Proverbs where they're calling to the simple, because I still have to wrap my mind around that because it's so difficult when it's simple. Humans, I'm a being, a spiritual being, so I gave that human up, but it comes back every now and then. At least it tries. So if the garden's back open because it's the second coming, and it's the second coming of God. If you can deny that, you take on that battle's yours because I can prove in my faith for myself. I know Christ returned to his people, and it was like in the 90s. It wasn't like these are just the prophecies being fulfilled. And according to one of these pastors who swore up and down to me, and he was my authority in the ministry I was in, there is no way Jesus has returned because we need to see this, this, and this. Well, I'm pretty sure there were scriptures that said you don't get them, you don't get signs. But I think the cloud witnessing. So why can't we interpret that properly? And well, first you got to look at the numbers I hear. Everything has to be broken down into the universal language, which are numbers, and that's not my gift. My gift is different. So yeah, the 90s. And it's like, why would we not want him to return? Well, that got answered for me when I was a visitor. Well, actually, I was trying to go to this church where I had moved, and the pastor started telling this small, tiniest congregation during the COVID outbreak, too. So we were at church, um, that I was selfish, but he didn't say, Polly, you're selfish for wanting this. He made a very loud, declarative sentence that how selfish people are to want Jesus here now when so many are not ready. They're not ready. No, dude, you're not ready, fucker. And you're at the front of that, and you're supposed to be the man leading. Your wife knows better. And then he misquoted scriptures twice after that through the sermon. So Jesus was like messing with them, like, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. That's my favorite girl. So I think he forgot the scripture, which he did not quote throughout his sermon that day. He forgot that in a blink of an eye, many are made ready to go because they just know now. Because in a blink of an eye, most of us just know. We just know. It's like we didn't know seconds before, but now we know. So blink of an eye. And just think, if time stands still and our time isn't God's time, can you imagine how much time we're actually wasting, dragging our feet on this? We could be having so much more enjoyment of life and helping those who have believed in their heart they deserve the misery they're in. I met a young woman who, unfortunately, her mom took her own life. This little girl who just mean to me. She's mean. She didn't like me just because Jesus. And the last time we spoke, I looked at her in her eyes because I wanted God to help me or not hate her. Like I wanted to understand why she was so bitchy. Why does she dislike me? Sorry, we're different, broad, but we're different. And I wanted to have hateful thoughts. I did. I was hateful thoughting her too, and it was sad. And I'm like, okay, Lord, okay. Show me compassion. Show me why I should be compassionate. And then the download, it's like a download. It hits you immediately. You know it's God because no human, or I should say I, did not know these things prior to that question for this person in particular. The compassion, I think, drowned the room, and I saw the child who couldn't understand why she wasn't good enough for her mom to stick around. My mom died in a car accident when I was 11, and she had me on her 23rd birthday. So the first day of the month is when she died, and the last day of the month, that same month, is our birthday. And when she died, all the light of my life went out. And it took me decades with Jesus, a couple of decades with Jesus, like following his massive awesomeness around in ways that I didn't understand because people had sold me the lie, limited his force in life to control me, This is how people, this is how I imitate people who lead churches sometimes. Not that they're bad. I mean, their hearts, Romans, hearts in the good place, path to hell. Okay, so this is my plane of them. Just do it my way, so my life is better. That's how we do it. You know what, bitch? I'm ready to make your life miserable, and I'm moving in. And most of the time, when I move in with people, they're miserable. Except my Queen Elizabeth, she's miserable, but she loves me no matter what. And she just makes me do dishes and like do all the little minor chef stuff when she's cooking, clean her bathroom. But I love serving her, and I love serving the people around me that are in my life. I like being able to participate on a level that is contributing and servant. Like I love being the servant. My dad, mm, talk about a toxic relationship. He calls it fine. Like give it to me. Jesus loves me no matter what. My mom's family's almost all gone. I have an aunt, and she told me once with serious eyes that my grandma had died of leukemia the year before my mom died in a motorcycle accident. And she had told me that they died on purpose to leave her behind. And she got stuck with me. She didn't say that part, but she got stuck with me. And she never had kids. She never got married in this life. And that makes me sad for her. But she's a shopaholic and a hoarder, you know. And I'm not going to mention her name, Noni Baloney. And she helped so much in so many ways. The problem is, in my eyes, selfish as they were, I would see her and need her for something. And that's when she went, no. She's like, no, do it yourself. No. And that's when I thought, hey, that's not fair. I was just fine last month. Now this month I need you, and you're telling me no. Not cool, baby. Okay, I'll go. Like my poor dog's not allowed in her beautiful yard in the most gorgeous, perfect weathered town in San Diego, and it's bilingual there. And the border's really close, and so's the beach. All let us San Diego's. That'll be our trivia question. Where did Jesus love, Polly, the most? Well, it was everywhere, so that's not fair, huh? But my great grandmother was a smart woman and bought a home in one of the most awesome spots of San Diego. It's close to the beach, close to the border, and the shopping's amazing. Traffic is terrible. Everyone drives like everyone drives like it's south of the border, but not. But the shopping there is amazing. Costco's right down the street. And the house my aunt lives in is my great grandmother's purchased house, and it's haunted. Like creepy stuff happens there. I mean, we're not scared because I don't know. I'm never scared there. I don't think it likes men. Because in all honesty, a babysitter lived there, and we would go there every day. And her husband was a pervert and a predator, and he had a lot of avenues of opportunity and took them with a lot of the female 7 and under girls. And you have to learn how to deal with that. And the family who trusts them has no clue they're doing these things. And may God make them feel rotten right now, anybody who's still participating on that level, because it's not your right to ruin innocence. And limiting God, shouldn't we ask Him to hurry up back now? Because we live in a day and age where no one has a problem with slaughtering, defiling, violating not only women and men of weaker essence, but innocence. Innocence is being taken like it's a commodity for taking. And we can't even protect our own kids because if we do something on what we should do, and mhm, you guys know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm sorry. It's called a mercy killing. I'm not promoting it. I'm not promoting it. All I'm saying is maybe, just maybe, they'd think twice about trying to snatch a kid up, or someone weaker, or from another country that's being sold and told they have to do something they don't want to do. May God seek vengeance so strong that it goes to generations of those who violate. Shame on them. But then evil's evil, right? And you know, there's a smaller amount of people trying to control us and they lie to us and we're like, oh my God, they're lying to us, right? I hate it. Me too. Let's not do anything anyways, because I just drink your coffee. You better put some booze in that for me, or a little bit of like THC edible in order for me to cope. If I have to stand back and shut my mouth, knowing my phone's ringing, I can't pause this. It's live. Hold on. Let's see what I can do. It might be my family. Where's my phone? So I guess that's God's way of telling me it's time to finish up, which is fun because this is really good practice for me for what I'm about to do in the future. I was able to, over the time of like 25, 30 years, put together an amazing script. And that was my goal in 2020 before COVID. I had found investors and we were going to make this online cable series, sell it after making, because I know they'd buy it. It's amazing. And as you watch the crap being Batman, a remake of Batman, you know what? Stop. It's played out. No matter how many little actors you put in that role, sorry, it's not going to beat the Jack Nicholson performance of Joker and the Michael Keaton performance of Batman. That was a great movie. That was awesome. And my favorite, of course, from Oingo Boingo, lead singer Danny Elfman, amazing. That soundtrack was amazing. Greatest concert I ever went to, Oingo Boingo. So all in all, I'm completely faithful to God, the second coming of Jesus. He's my rock star. I love him. But at the whole of it, don't try to change me into a perfect picture everyone tells you it has to be, because I won't do it. I refuse to stop being the person he allowed me to start living when he woke me up and then let me cry for years. Now, what are you doing? My phone's starting to ring again. I got to go. But hey, God bless you. And every day you can read a chapter of Proverbs because it goes with the day of the months. If you don't understand that, you can ask a question. But to my kids, I love you guys so much. I know I'm crazy and I know you get so embarrassed by me, but you know what? I like that job and I love you guys. And girls, call me.